Hi, I'm Pato, and I have a bunch of records that I haven't shown off in like 10 months. And since then, I've kind of been building up this video in my head and being like, oh, damn, I don't know how I'm gonna edit and say something interesting about 100 records. And then I realized I don't have to. So this is gonna be very casual, maybe unedited, depending on how I feel it goes. But just gonna pick them up and kind of tell you what I got and how I feel about it. I have maybe like 5 piles to get through. Shouldn't be too bad though. Okay. So, starting off, we have Nala and Nefro's Space 1.8. Really good, like, jazz ambient album. Listen to it a lot. It's more contemporary. She does some cool harp stuff on it though, so sounds interesting. Check it out. Also, I'm gonna make a Spotify playlist for every album I talk about, if I've listened to it at least. Some of the records that I own, I haven't spun, so if I feel strongly about it, it'll be in a playlist. There'll be like 2 or 3 songs from every album. Check it out if you want to. But yeah. So next is Sweet Trips and You Will Never Know Why. It's like the recent reissue. It's like a trifold double LP. They're like seafoam green. It looks really nice. Not much else to say. One of my favorite bands. I like a lot of their songs. Another one of my favorite artists is Jessica Pratt. This is her self-titled. Some really great songs on here. Half Twain the Jesse, Casper, Bushel Hyde. Here's another Jessica Pratt album, Quiet Signs, her most recent. Back Baby is another great song on here. If you're unfamiliar, she's like a indie sort of singer-songwriter, acoustic. She kind of reminds me of like Karen Dalton in some ways. She's kind of twee. I don't know. Her voice is really distinct. I really like her. Her stuff is kind of like haunting. Not sure how to convey it. Anyways, Patrice Rushen's Straight from the Heart. Great soul album. Forget Me Nots, Remind Me. Really good songs. Here is an album that I haven't listened to yet. Praise the Lord Who Chews But Does Not Consume by Yes Tumor. For some reason, I just haven't gotten around to it. And I haven't listened to it like on streaming either. Same with King Cruel's Space Heavy. I was really excited about these albums coming out. I like both of these artists just separately, and so I think I just built it up in my head too much, and I haven't gotten around to just sitting down and listening to them because I feel like they're not going to live up to my expectations. Throbbing Gristle's Greatest Hits. Just a cool like 90s, well, kind of a lot of different eras, but 90s industrial band. They did a lot of really cool stuff. Kosi Fanny Tutti is super badass. I've been listening to a ton of Chris and Kosi, so I've been listening to this album a lot more and really liking it. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, I mean, kind of just a classic. Here is Karen Dalton, who I kind of just mentioned. In My Own Time, this is like the 50th anniversary. Really great album. Her voice is so beautiful, like it's crazy. This is like a stack of stuff I got semi-recently, so haven't listened to most of it, like haven't played them, but they're albums I really like. So here is Ryuichi Sakamoto's 12, really cool ambient album. It is one of his most recent. I've been listening to this a ton since he passed away, and yeah, really liking his more recent stuff as well as obviously like his older involvements with like YMO or just like more kind of electronic stuff. I didn't finish that sentence, sorry. Calling Out of Context, Arthur Russell, one of my favorite artists. Well, not alive, but he just came out with the new album of like unreleased stuff, so there's still stuff coming out by him. I recently, when I bought this, was trying to get Picture of a Bunny Rabbit, which is the album that just came out, but then I saw this and I was like, I don't own this yet, and I listened to this a lot. That's Us and Wild Combination, Arm Around You. There's a lot of really great songs on here. Another album I've been listening to a bunch is Utopia. This is the Bjork/Arca collab album. Super textured. I really like this thing front to back. It's a really good like study album, and I study a lot, so getting a lot of mileage out of this. I think Arisen My Senses and Utopia, like the title track, are both so good. So good. Another great study album is Ambient 1 Music for Airports by Brian Eno. One of the best ambient albums ever, IMO. And 1 1 is maybe the best song of all time. Against All Logic, 2012 to 2017. Just some good, like, dancey, clubby house stuff. Very sample heavy. Yeah, a lot of great stuff on here. Pretty good album. I haven't spun it yet, but I'm happy to own it because I'm listening to it a lot. Celestine Ukwu and his Philosophers National, No Condition is Permanent. I got this song solely because track 2 is amazing, and I was really surprised to find this in a clearance bin. So yeah, no risk on my part, but really cool album. Life Without Buildings, Any Other City. If you like the Sundays, check this out because their voices kind of fill a similar niche in my head. They scratch the same itch, kind of, but really, really great album. And then here is a third Jessica Pratt album. I listen to her a lot, so that's kind of why she's towards the top of my stack. But On Your Own Love Again, there's so many good songs on this, like Moon Dude, Grey Sadie's, fuck, I'm forgetting, let me check the back. Game That I Play, Back Baby. Wait, I thought Back Baby was on a different album. Anyways, I think I said that Back Baby was on Quiet Signs, but Quiet Signs has Hear My Love, and those are two of my favorites. I think I just mixed those up. Anyways, Joanna Newsom's The Milk-Eyed Mender. Speaking of twee and distinct voices, yeah, she is up there for sure. This is kind of like a kid's storybook came to life, another harp-oriented musician. Just really great stuff. Her stuff isn't on Spotify, but she's pretty easy to find. So, just look a little bit and you'll find it. Let me put these away and grab the second stack. Okay, next pile starts off with Friends That Break Your Heart, the James Blake album. Not my favorite James Blake album, but the only one I own for some reason. Then Arthur Verikai's Self-Titled. So good. Such a good album front to back. It's crazy. Then we have The Sea and Cake by The Fawn. I really like the Bird. What is it called? Bird and Flag, and The Argument, and the Self-Titled is also good. And then Sam Prekop. Oh, I should show off the inside because these are pink, and then the other one is blue. I'll show it off. Ooh, companion pieces. Also, I didn't realize that they were related. I found both of the songs I liked separately, and then I saw them in store, and I was like, wait a minute. Anyways, Beverly Copeland, amazing. I've been listening to Keyboard Fantasies a lot. This is not Keyboard Fantasies, but still, just really like her as a person. Great, like, harp, piano. Her vocals are also really distinct. Yeah, just really cool artist. Then we have Shiho, The Body is a Message of the Universe, I think this is called. If not, whatever. Really cool, like, ambient, electronic, hypnotic album. Good to study to, but also good to, like, fall asleep to. Seeing this spin should kind of give you an idea of the vibe. Then we have Dry by the Durruti Column. One of my favorite bands. I didn't know what this was before I bought it, but I kind of just bought it because I will listen to anything they make. Fidelity is one of my favorite albums ever, and so I'm just interested in them, and kind of Gino Vanelli as a guitar player is really badass. And yeah, I've listened to that album and I liked it, although I don't know the name of any of the songs because it was kind of just playing. Black Bastards by KMD. This one has like a cool pop out, like kind of a picture book gatefold. It's kind of neat. Is this the red version? I don't remember. No, it's just the regular one. Okay. Sorry, I'm making a mess. I shouldn't be taking these out like this. But anyways, if you don't know, KMD is like this group that MF Doom, back when he went by Zev Love X, was in with his brother. Just like 90s kind of like boom bap rap, but there's still a lot of like the influence of, I won't get into it, forget it. Moody's Mood for Love, such a good little like gem of like a jazz album. There's one song called In the Mood for Love, which is a cover of a different song, or it's been covered a bunch. Anyways, his version of it, Adore, one of my favorite songs. Then we have Adrian Lenker's Songs and Instrumentals. Everyone knows what this is. Then Cortex. Everyone knows what this is too. Here's some more Yes Tumor albums. Heaven to a Tortured Mind. And what is this one called? I don't remember what this one is called. Safe in the Hands of Love, I guess. But that's weird. Anyways, I'm blanking a little bit. Bitches Brew, another classic sort of jazz standard. I'm gonna embarrass myself trying to pronounce this French ass name. Dukes Files, Silence and Wisdom. The opening track to this, I think it's called The Letter or Letter. So good, so good. Made me buy the whole album because I was like, yeah, I need more. Also, seeing it in person when it's like a more like obscure album or like just like a random song that you like is just a good feeling, and then a lot of impulse buys stem from that. Anyways, Mary Lattimore, Silver Ladders, super good album. This is a gray version, so like a gray disc. Oops, I can't. Looks pretty cool. It's a really good album. Kind of like hypnotic, a lot of like harp. Harp is going to be a recurring theme within my records, I'm realizing. But yeah, another harpist who is contemporary, like still coming out with stuff. They are super good. Here is Anika and then Anika EP, because I bought this thinking that I would have like every song. But there's one song called In the City that was not on there, and then I had to get the EP so that I could hear In the City because I really like that song. Almost done with the sort of milk crate stuff. Here's some more though, starting with Patrice, which is another Patrice Rushen album. I found this like super discounted. I think it was like $3. Haven't listened to it still, but I held up earlier like a Patrice Rushen album. I like her a lot, and so I was like, ooh, better check it out. Then Maiden Voyage by Herbie Hancock. I got this in Japan, I'm pretty sure. I had listened to it a ton on the plane ride there. Same with Bitches Brew. But yeah, I was really in like a jazz phase, and then I remember going to Tower Records and seeing that and being like, well, I kind of have to get it, don't I? Then Anadol Uzun Havalar. I think it just means folk music. She's a Turkish artist. A lot of like synth heavy stuff. It's super cool. Then we have Moon Safari by Air, French band. Really good. This, yeah, I mean, I don't have to get into it, but like trip hop, sort of like synthy, space age, like lounge music. Super good. Then King Cruel's 6 Feet Beneath the Moon. I should take the sticker off of this. I'm like realizing that there's some goodies I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, that was one of my favorite albums. I think I started listening to them in like middle school, and it was super formative and just like sort of sad indie rock kind of whole like punk inflections in some ways. Led me down a bunch of like rabbit holes that I'm very glad I went through, like the Smiths or like Gorillaz or yeah. Arthur Russell, Another Thought. This is missing a lot of songs. I realized, sadly. Kind of bought it just like as soon as I saw it because I was like, oh, holy shit, Arthur Russell. And yeah, this is like a different album art of this is him like sitting in front of like a creek with like headphones on. There's a song called like A Little Lost, and I guess I could just check this. And Another Thought. Anyways, it's a long ass album, and this only has I think 12 songs, and there's maybe 20. Anyways, there's some missing, and I was kind of upset to find that out. But cool album to own, especially. Here is Oh, that's not going to show up well. Sun Ra Languidity. Sorry, it's going to like blind y'all, but a really cool jazz album. Sun Ra is super cool. Then there is, what is this called? There's Lovin' You Yet. There's Lovin' You period. It's a Fortet album, ambient electronic. Yeah, just a lot of cool production. I have listened to this only once. I don't know. It's an album I really like, but I haven't kind of gone to it very often. I probably should though. That's reminding me. What is this guy's name? Jeff something? Anyways, there's a song called Right Down the Line, I think. Yeah, Right Down the Line. Anyways, that one song is why I got this. It was like $3. So yeah, no harm, no foul. Then Seven Swans by Sif John Stevens. I'm not religious, but there's something about this Christian album that is so good and delicate and just, yeah, wistful. I don't know, but this is a great album, regardless of your religiosity. I think it's really good. And I have a ton of like 7-inches. I'm not gonna go through them. The two that I think are cool are like the King Cruel singles that came out. I still haven't listened to the album, but I did get like 2 like mystery flexi discs. That one is for Flimsier, then Whale Shark. So I've listened to these 2 and then have not listened to the full album though. But yeah, they are like very bendy and 7 inches. I don't know, pretty cool. Let me put these all back and grab another stack. This is heavy as fuck. Okay, I kind of have them separated by color on in like the shelf proper, so it's like multicolored, as you can see by the spine, and then white and then black. So I don't think that these are organized with any sort of other criteria other than just aesthetics, so maybe they won't make sense together. I'll just start in the middle. I don't think it super matters. Okay, that was really heavy. Everything But the Girl, Temperamental is like their sort of house venturing, but really cool band that was super formative to me. I still like that album. I like all the directions they went in. Little Dark Age by MGMT. Jubilee by Japanese Breakfast. I almost forgot the name. Mew by Kitty Craft. This one I'm stoked to have. Really cool. Quickly becoming one of my favorite bands. And the disc is like, how do I show off color? I don't know. Anyways, it's a great album. Then Gary Wilson's You Think You Really Know Me. I've been listening to him a bunch lately. This album, like, I've liked for a while, but been getting into his more like what word am I looking for? Recent, I guess. His more recent stuff. I don't even remember what the album's called, but Gary Saw Linda Last Night is such a good song, and that has kind of led me on like a rabbit hole. Anyways, there's a song on here called You Were Too Good to Be True, I think. Really good song. Then we have Halumaja and the Dalek Band. I don't remember what this album, I think it's called Wede Harer Guzo. Probably butchering that. Anyways, this is from Awesome Tapes of Africa. It's like Ethiopian jazz, kind of like re-released. It's a really cool album. Then, oh geez, this is going to be hard to remember the names of some of these. I think this is 4x4x4 A Dream by... Fuck. Oh no. Oh no. I think his name is like Masu... Fuck, I have to look it up. Hold up. Okay, I was kind of close. It was 4 times a Dream, and it's by Masumi Hara. He's like an experimental Japanese... I don't know how to like categorize him. Really cool sound though. He is like unabashedly himself, and I think it's super badass. His stuff gets like very chaotic, but there's definitely like a groove underline to it all. Really cool. Then I have a bunch of Stereolab stuff. Some I got for myself, some are birthday presents, but here is Tomato Emperor Ketchup. Pretty cool. Or Emperor Tomato Ketchup. And then here is Post by Bjork. I'm going to have a lot of Bjork albums too. I'll show the back, I guess. I haven't shown the back for any of these, sorry. Then another Darude column album. Thank God, I'm getting really bad at talking. Treatise on the Steppenwolf. I'd never heard this before, but I was trying to buy Fidelity, another time I mentioned the album, foreshadowing, and I remember that like the shipping cost from the UK was like £40, whatever that means, and the person selling it was like, if you buy 2, like with the weight, it'll be cheaper. And so he was like, I have another Darude column album you can buy, and I was like, okay. I listened to it, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I don't really know what this is still. I'm pretty sure it's like a backing or like a soundtrack to an orchestra of like an adaptation of a book. Anyways, I don't really know what it is. I listened to it once. Haven't really felt the need to go back, but maybe I will. Also, I think that isn't even out yet. I bought that like months ago, and I'm pretty sure it's coming out for Record Store Day of 23. So, yeah, I kind of have a little piece of history, no? Here is another Stereolab album, Mars Audiac Quintet. Maybe my favorite Stereolab album? I'm not sure. I feel like the answer to that changes often, but this one is normally in like the top two. I really like this album. I think it is underrated within their discography. Then another Joanna Newsom album. This one is East, YS, and this one is not nearly as twee, but this one takes that little like storybook element and brings it up to 11 because there's like a lyric book inside that really makes this feel like, yeah, some Victorian era thing, despite her being still alive and still hopefully making music. Here's another Stereolab album, Cobra and Phases Group Play Voltage in the Milky Night. I definitely remember that title fully. This is maybe my favorite album of theirs, though. I just love it. It's so good. Although, I don't know, that seems unfair to Dots and Loops. I don't know. Stereolab is such a good band. That doesn't sound like a real sentence. Such a good band. So I'm short circuiting, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, here is Standing on the Corner. I know that's the band, and this is called Get Out the Ghetto, I think. This came out in like 2019, maybe. I bought this before I even had a record player, but it's like a collection of singles. I think it's 4 songs, and yeah, it's just like this little EP that they came out with. They made, fuck, what is it called? I don't even. I'm getting really bad at talking. I need to go like drink water after this stack. Masanoshi Takanaka, I think. Okay, thank God. I'm actually gonna get water now. PRB. Okay, all better. So as I was saying, this is like a YouTube recommended classic. That's how I found it, at least. But really, really like this. And then they re-released it, I think, last year, and I was happy to have it. It's off of Kitty Records, so super stoked to own one of those because that has been on like my Pinterest vision board for a long time. Anyways, the album itself is a compilation, so not too like coherent, but a lot of Brazilian and like samba, mambo influences on this. Obviously it's Japanese, so there's just a really cool sound overall. Then we have Solid Space Museum. This is like a very sci-fi early 80s like synthy, I don't know. It's like kind of like a B movie in some ways, but it came out in like the sort of space age sound. There's probably like a genre for that. Anyways, really like this album. Then we have Lilies, A Brief History of Amazing Letdowns. There's a song on here called Ginger that is super cool. Yeah, I remember I was on my way to go buy records and I was listening to Ginger, like it came up on one of my playlists. And I remember like jamming out. I was like, damn, this song is crazy. And then I got there and ended up finding this and it just felt like a sign. And I was like, well, I kind of have to get it now. But I haven't listened to the record yet. Like I haven't spun it. So I'll put that in a different pile because I should. Then another Sweet Trip album, Velocity Design Comfort. This was super pivotal for me getting into like kind of the sort of glitch pop electronic stuff. Although there's still like a shoegaze undercurrent over it all. It's a really cool album in that sense where it's like those two genres don't usually combine, at least not like when this was coming out. Anyways, one of my favorite bands, really cool album. This is probably my most listened to record that I own. So GeoGaddy by Boards of Canada. This is hard to describe. Really cool like trifold stuff going on. I don't think that the albums are colored, but they might be. I feel like I should know. Yeah, they're not. Anyways, yeah, the sort of fractal motif, I think, maybe explains it better than I could. Where this is very much like Mushrooms, the album, where it's kind of sinister and it's kind of scary, but it's also like very, very comforting. I don't know. This was like penned as being sort of semi-satanic. If you don't know, okay, sorry. Boards of Canada are like an ambient electronic band that made music in like the early-ish 90s. They get compared to Aphex Twin a lot. Yeah, they're kind of in like a similar vein of music. This is not their most popular album. That would be Music Has the Right to Children, and that one is definitely more like kind of whimsical and like upbeat, and this one is a lot of like drony, sort of like guttural, weird noises that loop a lot. I don't know. I'm definitely not describing this well, but yeah, my most listened to record that I own for sure. God Save the Animals by Alex G, one of the best albums to come out last year. Alex G is getting into his more mainstream bag, and it does not sound bad at all. Then Beat by Bowery Electric, one of my favorite sort of like drony, shoegazy, trip hop albums. I think it's amazing. I just watched Fallen Angels by Wong Kar Wai, and I think this band and that feeling of that movie are very comparable. Although it's probably more like Lush Life, so like some of their later stuff. But yeah, I don't know what this is. I could not tell you. But here is Lifestyles of the Laptop Cafe by The Other People Place. One of my favorite albums. It's like another sort of like a loop-based electronic one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to match my nails though. Sorry, I'm getting like devolving into being like I like this because I like this. Dots and Loops, another Stereolab album. This one is probably their most beloved. I still like it quite a bit, but I still think Cobra Plays Something Whatever in the Milky Night is my favorite, and then Mars Zodiac Quintet. This might be third though. I don't know. Brackage is really good. What is the other one? It's like something about a leaf or something. Let me check. The Flower Called Nowhere and Miss Modular. Oh, okay. I don't know. You'll Never Get to Heaven. What is this one called? It's probably on the front. Wave Your Moonlit Light Hat for the Snowfall Train. No clue. Anyways, this has the song Setting Sun on it, and that's one of my favorite songs, period. The whole album is very like dream trance-like, ambient stuff, hypnotic. Really cool. Really cool. And this picture looks similar to that Shiho album that I held up earlier, the one where it's like your body is a message of the universe. And that's why I bought that Shiho album, because I thought it was this, because this is the cover art of this album normally, so like the non-whatever this is. And so I remember finding it in person and being like, oh, that's You'll Never Get to Heaven's album. And okay, another stack now. Okay, here is the white spines like out of these. So starting with Antenna, Camino del Sol. This is like the first Numero Group release, which is like the label or whatever that publishes them. Really good quality. There's like I think they're 45 gram. I don't know like the technical term, but anyways, they're like the heavy ass vinyl, and they're just really good quality. They have like cool cutouts on both. I won't show off too much. Sorry, I have a lot to get through, but really cool album. Not sure what I would categorize it as. There's some like electronic tinges, but at its core it's also like sort of I don't know. I'm not gonna attempt that. Sorry. Here's another Mary Lattimore album. I found this when I was looking for Silver Ladders. Couldn't find it, but then I found this, and the person who owned the store was talking to me about it, and they're like, "Yeah, really great. You know, if you like Silver Ladders, check it out." I did. I don't remember what any of the songs are called, but one of these is really good, and I'll find out afterwards when I go to make the playlist. Here is Aphex Twin's Come to Daddy. Bought this and was pretty bummed out to find out that, what is that song called, X-Tal or something, is not on it. Although, yeah, also it has like, what am I thinking of? I don't know, but there's a song that. Wait, what am I thinking of actually? Pause. Oh, okay. Is Us. IZ-US. I love that song, and it's on this EP, and it's not on the disc though. There's 4 songs, and they're not my favorite 4 songs on the album. Although, Eucephalus Bouncing Ball is pretty good, and I think that this is the mix of Come to Daddy that I like. Although, I don't know, because I remember spinning it and being like, wait, that's it? Yeah, only 4 songs on this for some reason. Here is Blacks and Blues by Bobby Humphrey, another jazz album that I bought in Japan. There's a surprising amount of jazz. Well, I guess I was surprised at the amount of jazz records that there were in Japan. This is a great album, one of the first jazz records that I really fell in love with. The song, like the title track, Blacks and Blues, but also Harlem River Drive, so good. And then that led me to looking at more of her music and New York Times, and there's another song on Satin Doll. I think it's called My Little Girl, although I feel like I'm getting confused with Here My Dear by Marvin Gaye, because I think that song is called I Met a Little Girl. Anyways, this album, sorry, I'm getting tangential, is really good, and it's really good. Here is Cortex Volume 2, arguably better than the Tropio Blue, whatever the other album was called. This just has so many good songs. Let me look at the back. Oh Lord is amazing. Paxa is amazing. Funk Around the Punk is great. Yeah, this is really good. Cortex, I don't think I mentioned it. I just kind of said everyone knows what this album is, but it's like French jazz from like the 70s. Really, really great stuff. Yeah, underrated album for sure. I think it's cool to own. This is like a single by Two Shell, I think the band is called. Home, and I don't know, the whole thing is just white, so not much to go off of. But yeah, Two Shell, Home, and something else. Of Montreal's Cherry Peel. They were one of my favorite bands growing up, as you can see by the Hissing Fauna poster. Yeah, this is a great one that grew on me a lot later into like finding the band. Originally I was just into the sort of like art pop stuff that they were doing, but they have a lot of great just like indie sort of like singer songwriter stuff initially. And yeah, this is a great album. Baby is super good. Ooh, also Don't Ask Me to Explain is on this album. It's really good. Here is Overworld by Art Wilson, a sort of ambient electronic, very open and like danceable. There was like a dance video that like accompanied this album. I think it's called, or like the subtext is, The Body Says What Words Cannot. Synthesizer and drum machine themes for contemporary dance. Anyways, yeah, I didn't know that going in. I just liked how it sounded, and then I found it and listened to it and realized that there was a lot more going on underneath the hood. But yeah, good album. Here is Everything But the Girl. This is just 2 singles. Pretty sure it's Night and Day and Feeling Dizzy, I think. Yeah. Oh, and On My Mind. I didn't know that. Yeah, anyways, I haven't spun this yet. This is like a clear record. Pretty cool. One of my favorite songs ever. I feel like I should be more excited about this. Like conveying that it's important. But yeah, Night and Day is one of my favorite songs ever. So happy to own this. Even though it was expensive as hell, because you're paying for 3 songs and it's like normal ass vinyl price. Here's another one of my favorite albums, I guess, not favorite songs, but Vespertine by Bjork is amazing. And yeah, one of the first purchases I made once I had a record player and like a decent setup, I was like, I need to listen to this, and I have since done so many times. It's a great album. Here is one that I'm stoked to have, which is Linda Perhacs Parallelograms. Yeah, I don't know how to describe this one either. It's kind of like similar to Jessica Pratt or Karen Dalton, where distinct voice, sort of like 70s groovy lady feel, but yeah, insane vocals on this. What are some songs? I know Sandy Toes and what is it called? Hey Now Who Really Cares are amazing. Yeah, okay. This font is too small. I can't read this. But yeah, those two songs are amazing. There's a lot of really, really, really good ones on here. Speaking of the sort of like haunted, this is another recurring theme, which is like distinct voices, ladies singing that sound kind of like tinged with sadness. Vashti Bunyan, something's just stick in your mind. This one I feel like people will recognize a song off of called "I'd Like to Walk Around in Your Mind Someday." The rest of the album is just as good. I mean, that song is great, but yeah, it is. It is really, really something. She is pretty cool, and just a great voice. Here is another sort of like internet fan favorite, Plantasia. Don't really need to get super into it, but Mort Garson made an album using like a Moog synthesizer for plants, and it's really charming and nice to listen to. Here is Jockstrap's I Love You Jennifer B, my favorite album of the last year. It's so good. And I cannot wait. I think I'm seeing them in concert in I don't know when actually. I don't know the exact date, but I'm seeing them in Denver, Colorado. So if you're gonna be at the Jockstrap concert in Denver, Colorado, come say hi. Here is Symbols by Susumu Yokota, one of my favorite artists right now. I don't own anything else by him. I wish I did, kind of like in his earlier, sort of like more housey, clubby, electronic stuff. I've been really into his album. I think it's called Plantasy or something. I just put down Plantasia, but I think it's something like that. Anyways, it's like gold, has an apple in the middle. I'll look it up actually real quick. No, it's Plantation. Anyway, that was close though. This is his remix of a bunch of like classical music. It's so good. I don't really know. This is one that you kind of just had to like listen to because there's no way I'm describing what it sounds like. But on this little gatefold, it is another clear record. Looks really, really cool. And I think it sounds good. Normally, whenever you get like colored vinyl, there's like a degrade in like sound quality, blah 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 blah. I'm not super like into that aspect of like collecting records, but this one sounds great. There are a couple like standout records, like the Aphex Twin Ambient whatever collection. That one is another one that sounds so good. But yeah, Symbols sounds great. Here is Johari Masamba Unit, pardon my French. This is Kareem Riggins and Madlib collabing. Madlib does the instrumental, Kareem Riggins does the like live drums. It's a great album, like a lot of jazz influence obviously. Both really talented artists, and they collabed in a cool way. Here's the Lost in Translation soundtrack. Funnily enough, have not seen the movie, but I've listened to this multiple times. There's a happy end song that is super good. Kaze wo Atsumete. Anyways, there's a lot of really great bands on here. Air, Square Pusher, what's another one? My Bloody Valentine, the Jesus and Mary Chains. It's more of like a playlist than in like a cohesive album, but cool, and I like it, and I own it, and that's pretty cool too. Then we have Yes Sir Whatever by Quasimodo, one of my favorite albums probably. Really good, and yeah, just Madlib at his peak perhaps. This is a Locked Groove album by Please Make It Ruins. It's like a compilation of a bunch of different producers. Maybe this will be visible. Maybe. Yeah, hopefully that fixes it. Anyways, this is like a bunch of different producers make one bar loops, and then each groove on like the record itself is like a separate track, and it's locked, so like the needle doesn't go down, and it just kind of loops forever. Maybe I'll back it up. Yeah, you can see some cool people. MKG or like Auto Porches. Who else? Ali XL, Octo Octa, Young Portal, Vegan. On this side, there's like King Cruel, Kenny Beats, Channel Tress, Blood Orange, Arca, Arthur. Just a lot of really cool people all collabing. This was, I don't know the exact year, but it was when like the BLM protests were happening, and I remember this was like a charity album, and so buying it, the proceeds would go to that. And I did not need much convincing otherwise. Here is Blood Orange, Angel's Pulse, great album, maybe my favorite by him. I don't know if that's like a shared opinion, but it's definitely mine. Here, finally, is Fidelity by the Durutti Column. One of my favorite albums ever. It's just so good. Yeah, just, oof, it's amazing. I'm listening to that later, actually. Loving on the Flip Side. This is off of Rap Cats, the label. And when I was trying to get the new Madlib album, I remember seeing it and being like, what is this? And it's described as big beat ballads, which are like heavy drums, a lilting voice, kind of bluesy songs. And yeah, it lives up to that. They're like larger than life. There's essentially a compilation album, like a bunch of like different artists all under the same wheelhouse of big beat ballads. Listened to it once. I should revisit it, but I remember thinking it was really cool. And here is A New Place to Drown by Archie Marshall, aka King Cruel, a side project of his. I think it's really good, and stoked to have it. Still missing some King Cruel albums. I don't have The Ooze, and I don't have whatever the first one was. Was it just self-titled? Maybe. The one that has like the new Sojosity and stuff. Here is Big Thief's Dragon, New War Mountain, I Believe in You. Really great album. Another Gatefold, and then the discs are like, I don't remember what they were called exactly. It was like some like recycled whatever, corkboard, cardboard, something. They're like, oh, this one, it's a really dark color, but you can see it's kind of like maroon. The other one I'm pretty sure is like green, or at least mine is. Every version looks a little different. I don't know, this one is another red. Anyways, yeah, it looks cool, sounds good. Another really great album that came out last year. And let's keep going and speed it up a little bit. I don't know how long this is, but probably pretty long. Solange, fuck, what is this album called? When I Get Home, I think, right? Maybe? Anyways, this is like a bunch of like different vignettes, kind of like an interlude album, but yeah, great instrumentally, has like a really syrupy and like glossy feel to it all. An ode to Houston, and I am from Texas, so. Victorialand by Cocteau Twins, super dreamy and like spacious, like you're sleeping on a cloud. This kind of reminds me in some ways of Enya, but that's not like a bad thing. This is a really great album. Let's see, what song do I like the most? Little Spacey is great, and so is Lazy Calm. I'm actually very excited to make a playlist of all of these. Here are some sort of like more thrifty ones. I don't really thrift records anymore, but at the start I remember being really excited and like wanting to expand my collection. So I would buy some like random shit and be like, oh, blind date with a record. Haven't listened to this yet. There's a couple more of that before I like realized that I didn't really want to be doing that. Here is Bjork's debut. Great album. I feel like it doesn't really need much context. Here's a kind of grail for me. I'm super stoked to own this. It's Vegan's Only Diamonds Cut Diamonds. I bought this before I had a record. I fought back. I bought this before I had a record player, and yeah, I just really liked the album when it came out, and I'm super glad I did because it has since gone up in value a lot, and I don't think I would buy it again today if I wanted it, but yeah, I'm happy to have it. Here's another like thrifty whatever thing I just said. Persuasive Percussion. I think I have listened to this. Don't feel like strongly about it. It's kind of like library music, if you're familiar with that genre, where it's just kind of like, I don't know. Anyways, there's a bunch of like Enoch Light and his Blank Orchestra albums. Here's Process by Sampha. Great album. Haven't spun it yet though. I remember it being like just one of those where I was like, I love this album, I have to own it, and then I owned it and it sat there for a while. Here is Layers by Les McCann. Remember getting this in Colorado. There's a ton of like cool record shops that I would love to go back to now that I'm like into records. But yeah, a lot of great songs in here. I'm trying to remember the names of them. One is called Sometimes I Cry, and there's another one called Soaring Part 2, I think. Anyways, really cool album. Here is Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow. I don't remember why I got this. Because We've Ended as Lovers is the only song I recognize. So I assume I just got this because it was cheap and I like that song. Here's a Barbra Streisand album that I haven't listened to, but it was also like $2. This one was $3. I don't know what this is, but I'm pretty sure it's like Robert Crumb or something, or it looks like it. I don't think that's Robert Crumb. Anyways, don't know why I own that. Haven't listened to it. And same with this. Klaatu. Don't know what that is, but it was probably also very cheap, I assume. Yeah, I want to kind of get rid of stuff like that because I don't think I'm ever really gonna sit down and listen to those. Although maybe I should. I don't know. Okay, last stack. But yeah, some of those like thrifted ones I just don't expect to ever want to listen to whenever I haven't listened to some other records like Space Heavy or the new Yes Tumor album. I don't see myself really sitting down and being like, you know what, let me check out Vibrations by Enoch Light Orchestra that Chet Baker sings. Kind of just a classic. Then Conor Moccasins Forever Dolphin Love. Such a good album. I really want to own more Conor Moccasin records because I've been listening to him a lot more than I did whenever I got this one. But out of his albums, I think I do like this one the most, so not complaining that it's the only one I have. But I really would like to have Caramel or Jazz Busters. I've been listening to them a lot, especially this year. So maybe soon. I don't know. There's a ton of artists that I don't have anything of that I really like. That I don't know. Do I really need them? Probably not. So here is, I don't even remember what this is called, but it's a grouper album. Got this as a gift. Oh, it's called Ruins. I've listened to this a few times. Grouper is great. And I found them through Tristan Schaefer, I think is their name. They recommended them through this comment section, and I have since grown to really like them. I remember listening to them. I don't know what this is, by the way. Some No You Can Whatever Girl. That's a cool title. Probably why I bought it. Then this is Feet of Clay by Earl Sweatshirt. I remember buying this before I owned a record player too. There's like an engraving on the disc itself that I will try to show off briefly. But pretty cool. It's upside down. Still upside down. So it's dirty as fuck, so don't at me. But I remember playing this on the person I was dating at the time had this like shitty ass like record player that just like scratched the fuck out of like all of the things I had, but I didn't have a record player, so I was like, let's give this puppy a spin. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I destroyed that disc. Point being. Then we have Black Marble, and I'm just skipping the cover to show off the disc because it is pretty cool. And I got this as a gift. I remember thinking that it was a really nice gesture. It was from my coworkers, and yeah. Oh no, this is not gonna want to go back in. Anyways, let me talk about the Black Marble album real quick, and start by figuring out what song I like on here. I think it's called Frisk. Yeah, Frisk. Not much to say. I mean, they're not like one of my favorite bands or anything. I probably wouldn't have. I'm gonna pause to put this away. Okay, yeah. Anyways, happy to have this. I think it was a really sweet gift to get. Speaking of gifts, this next one was a gift from my dad. So Getz Gilberto, like a bossa nova classic of Stan Getz and Astrud Gilberto. I would love to have the Astrud Gilberto album by itself. The store that I usually go to was selling it like 2 weeks ago, and I didn't go, and I've been regretting it a lot since. Anyways, this is like a great album in itself. It has what is it called, like The Girl from Ipanema or whatever, Ipanema, The Girl from Ipanema, and then it also has Corcovado, 2 different versions, and Corcovado is an amazing song, like amazing. There's also an Everything But the Girl cover of Corcovado, which is on, I think it's Walking Wounded. Anyways, it's so tangential, but I love both songs a lot. Here is, what was this one called? Man Alive, the King Cruel album. I really like this one. I haven't spun it yet, but I was like on a mission where I was like, I have to own everything King Cruel has because I like him a lot. But yeah, really great album. Haven't spun it yet. Should soon. Speaking of, I haven't spun this one either actually. Sorry, I need some water. Fossora by Bjork. This album grew on me a lot. I remember liking it initially, but then I kind of like fell off of it a little bit, and lately I've been picking it back up because I've been listening to Utopia a lot too, and so like the newer Bjork stuff that's been coming out, just wanted to like revisit and like see if my feelings had changed. I don't know why I'm taking this out. It's just a black disc, but yeah, I listened to it again recently, and I feel pretty similarly about Utopia, or like front to back. I think it's a pretty good album. Obviously, it's like less calming. I mean, it's like very like intense and like gabber drums, but yeah, overall, I think it's a good album, and the sort of spoken word that she's doing is very like on par with like the other last two ones that she's done. Anyways, Witch introduction. This is some like Zamrock, some like blood red disc going on, but which is a pretty cool band. The whole like Zamrock wave, which is kind of just like African like rock that's really out there and in your face, like very 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 influential to punk over here in the States. But yeah, Cocteau Twins, Bluebell Knoll, one of the first albums that I bought. Also this whole stack is very related to each other, but yeah, one of the first albums I bought. I remember I listened to this in like an airport because I had like a huge layover and I just hadn't heard Bluebell Knoll before, and it blew my damn mind. And then from there I was just obsessed with the album, and yeah, I listened to a bunch of like the other like less syrupy Cocteau Twin albums because of this one. Obviously, like I love Heaven in Las Vegas and like that whole wave, but going back a little further into like the Pink Opaque or like Bluebell Knoll, they have such like good songs. Like essentially every song on this album is great. Like For Phoebe as a Baby, Carolyn's Finger, Through the Itchy Blue Glow Bulbs or something. I don't know. Their names are weird as fuck, but the album's great. And yeah, I recently held Milli Millinary, or what is it called? The Pink Opaque in my hands, and I really regret not being able to listen to Milli Millinary. Anyways, I'm almost done. The stack is winding down. Here is Selected Ambient Works by Aphex Twin. One of the better sounding records that I own. I don't know what it is, but this is pressed divinely. The covers are pretty cool too, in the sense that it's kind of like very minimal, and yeah, just a great album to put on. Sounds good. Here is Donuts, the classic. Jay Dilla is super good. I listened to him a ton in 2022. He was my most listened to artist, and I didn't even realize it. Like it just kind of happened like that. But yeah, so many good songs on here. Just great. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to like come up with something to say about Jay Dilla in general. He was super influential to me, just getting more into like the production side of hip hop, which then led to getting into like jazz and getting into all these different like rabbit holes in terms of figuring out what sampling was, and then also like drum machines, and just getting into the sort of sounds that made up what I was listening to. I remember finding like To Pimp a Butterfly and Operation Doomsday and stuff in high school, and then getting into like the production side of stuff. And then Jay Dilla is obviously a name that is going to be referenced a lot when you look up like hip hop production. And then there was like some Vox video talking about how he like quantized his drum machines, and then from there like this like whole thing clicked where I was like, oh, I really want to know about how all this works. And then once you get into sampling in general, like sampling is like taking parts of an old song and reusing them or like flipping them, and a lot of people sample old jazz songs or like international music. And so from there it was like listening to stuff of like where the samples come from and like modern like hip hop whatever, and yeah, just started listening to the stuff that they sampled more than the songs themselves, and then it just sort of spiraled into being really into jazz and international music. Anyways, long tangent, but yeah, Donuts was super important in like high school for me to like get into music in general. Heaven in Las Vegas, just talked about it. Cocteau Twins, great. Just yeah. Here is another sample album, or like sample heavy instrumental album, Madlib Shades of Blue. He is another kind of prolific producer. He worked alongside MF Doom. So like for Mad Villainy, he's the mad part, I guess. But yeah, just a great producer. This is him remixing a bunch of like Blue Note records, which are like jazz standards. Really great album. I've talked ad nauseum about this back when I like did a couple of music related videos. It's really good. Here is Polyrock. I forget, but this is another one where it was like it's cheap. There's one song I like on it. This one is called Romantic Me. So yeah. Here is Admas, Sons of Ethiopia, more Ethiopian jazz. Really, really great album though. Like, yeah, I need to listen to this later. This is one of the favorite or like coolest things I think I own is Clam Day by Otto. So stoked that I have this somehow. Don't really know how that happened, but same with the Vegan album where really glad I do because I love this album so much. I've listened to this a bunch and it sounds great. Here's just I don't know, just everything about it. I really, really, really like this album. And the last Otto album that he just came out with under Pudding Club, which I think is just called like Songs of the Day or something, or some. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that album is so good. It's definitely gonna be like in my top 10 for the end of the year. I've listened to it a ton. Here is Hosono House by Haruomi Hosono. This is like a seafoam blue disc. It looks pretty pretty. Like that. And yeah, just a great sort of bluesy, kind of Americana Japanese album. Yeah, very like country inspired, like influence, but there's still like a lot of like very groovy bass going on, and his voice is just great. Yeah, really good album. Love this one. Here is Heatwave, Central Heating, I think this one's called. There is 2 songs in here that I love, Star of the Story, and let me check the back. Star of the Story and Mind Blowing Decisions. Sorry, it took me a second. But same era that I got into Bobby Humphrey with Blacks and Blues, I got into Heatwave with those 2 songs. And yeah, those in conjunction just kind of led down this like huge rabbit hole of like getting into like blues and funk and like sort of like pop, like smoother jazz, and yeah, just super cool album. I found this for hella cheap. So this is an album that I bought just because of the cover. Have never listened to it. I don't think I will either, to be honest, but it was like $2. Here is Discovery by Daft Punk, another kind of grail of like how do I own this? Not too sure. But yeah, just a great electronic album. I feel like I cursed myself because I was super excited thinking about what the next Daft Punk release, and then like the next day they were like, we're retiring forever. But all the more reason that I'm happy to have something like this. Yeah, I mean, great band. They're really cool. I feel like they definitely get their flowers. So, oh, and this is the last album, Madlib's Sound Ancestors. Yeah, I love Madlib. This is a great album again. Not much else to say. Ending it on kind of an anticlimactic note, but those are my records. I own a lot more than I did the last time I talked about them on this channel. Thanks for listening to me just kind of hold them up. But yeah, I really like music, so maybe we'll find a way to include that here too. But for now, I just kind of wanted to update y'all on what I have been getting my hands on and what I've been listening to and what I will listen to today, I guess. So thanks for watching. Bye.